So during this session, as she rightly said, that it's going to be a very interesting and interactive session for 45 minutes. What we suggest, whatever questions you might come out with, we will keep at least 10 to 15 minutes towards the end so that you can go ahead and ask question to the expert panelists, those who are sitting over here. So first, she has already introduced three of us. Mr. Mohan from Kirby, I know him since last 25 years, if I'm not wrong. And Dr. Saravanan is sitting on my right, and he heads the technical division of Eversendai. So fantastic combination. On left-hand side, the commercial expert. On the right-hand side is the technical expert. I'm sitting in the center, and we are discussing business. So this is a perfect stage to start this discussion. Now, when we talk about the fabrication, in fact, in the entire life cycle of any project, in fact, we start with the client preparing his concepts and then thinking about how this project will go. Then the designers, they come on board. Then the construction crew comes on board. Fabricator comes on board. And in the process, all these steps we carry out, giving lot of significance to the technical aspects and forgetting about three important aspects of the business. That is number one, the cash flow. Number two, the inventory, which causes a lot of impact on your cash flow. And then coming towards the end, of course, every consultant or every stakeholder who comes into the play, he says that I'm going to add value to this project. And in the process, somewhere down the line, we feel that the business is not moving forward. Only the discussions are going on, or only the consultant is giving some advice to the client. Client is thinking, and eventually it works out to be a penny wise and pound foolish kind of a business. So today, what we are going to talk, in every stage of this life cycle, what are the pros and cons in the Indian industry? And then, what are the solutions to the challenges which we are facing? So to start with, I would like to request Mr. Mohan to take up this discussion forward, that what all we need to do starting from the procurement of the steel itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible? Yeah. Now after lunch, I think this is a gripping conversation which is put up. I am not sure that many people would be sleeping on this topic, because this topic is such. And just on the topic is how to make fabrication industry or a pre-engineered building industry profitable, or that's what it is. So just to give you an just to give you a brief background, profitability in engineering industry comprises of three, especially in PEB. I'm talking only about PEB industry or any fabrication industry. One is engineering, second is commercials, third is cash flows. How we are managing our cash flow management. These are the three important aspects. And unfortunately in PEB, the entry barriers are too low. So anyone, a small fabricator, can claim himself as a pre-engineered building manufacturer, or an erector does a backward integration, tie up with someone, and he can call himself a backward integration. He can call himself a PEB industry. So the issue here is threefold. One is that, first and foremost, first we need to win a project from a customer. So for winning a project from a customer, there are a lot of other works which we need to do. That is engineering, which is to start. That is first understanding what customer wants, then having that chalk down into an engineering details, and then give it to our engineers, and then work out and come out with a correct optimized weights. So this is an activity which involves a lot of stakeholders. One, of course, the customer himself, the consultant, then if there is consultant, a PMC, everyone. So what's happening in this total cycle is that there is a lot of time which we lose, and then finally it all boils down to the project timelines actually. So what I'm really seeing when a business have to be profitable, one is, of course, the customer needs to get it at a lowest cost at the fastest time. But if you really look at the manufacturer side, they would like to, for them the weight is not really a constraint, because if the weight is high, there is no issue. For them, the main issue is how am I getting the optimum cost, whether I'm getting a decent margin, whether I can finish the project on time, how are the working conditions, and these are the things. Apart from that, right now is a raw material issue. Today, the biggest challenge is raw material, because this is a business in which you have to buy in cash and give in credit. So that is the only reason why most of the pre-engineered building manufacturers suffer. Today, if you really see, it is mainly the cash flow management which really impacts a lot, apart from the commercial aspect. So when I'm talking about engineering, as I told you, the optimized weight, people would like to reduce it to the lowest weight, or we call the optimized weights, to give the best value for the customer. But yes, some people are on the positive side, some people are on the negative side. Some people take it on the, considering, at least in Kirby, considering the climate changes which are happening right now. We never heard about a cloud burst 10 years back or 5 years back. We never heard what's the wind speed of 180 kilometers per hour now. So we might err on a positive side. Maybe you're adding a little few more tons, but that is going to give more stability is what we look at, because the building has to stand for 50, 100 years. So that is the reason why, and every competitor, there would be difference on the weights coming up. Because even every designer, when he works, there will be a complete difference. No designer can give the exact weight. So this is where first and foremost is on the weight, then and then next comes your procurement. The biggest challenge is the raw material manufacturers. Today, even the prices are so volatile. Prices have really shot up to some record numbers. And even if you are ready to pay, today availability has become a major concern. That is one of the biggest challenge today, what we are facing in pre-engineered building. After we get the material, then you fabricate. And fabrication, of course, how you fabricate, there are different ways of fabrication, but okay, I'm not dwelling into it. Then coming to the commercials. See the purchase order when we discuss or we finalize. One is on the payment terms and other terms and conditions. In pre-engineered buildings, I'll tell you the business gets hit only because of commercials. I'm very, very serious on that. Because the material, by the time it reaches the site, 90% of the cost is already incurred by the manufacturer. You have to buy in steel, by cash, fabricate, pay for the transportation, pay 100% GST before it lands onto the site. And after it reaches there, then the customer clock starts. Then he says, I'm not really looking at steel. I wanted it to be erected. Only after erection I'll pay. Right? But that will kill if at all because of a front issue or because of various issues. If it gets delayed, it kills the manufacturer. So while it should be a win-win situation, we always term that, instead of trying to kill. And here, unfortunately or fortunately, many agencies try to play a sport. Even a technical consultants would like to talk commercials. Some other, people would like to get into commercials and try to say that let's be very safe. And we talk about socialism here, whether it's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all will have the same payment terms. This is where actually it kills. So for a profitability of a pre-engineered building, I feel this is very important. And third, of course, is, there are other commercials. I don't want to dwell into it now. Then, of course, is the cash flow management. Because you have to buy cash, you have to give, and you get the money after maybe 60 days, and if the project gets delayed after a certain time, and then around 10% or so after completing the project, and I'll tell you very honestly, PEB industry works on single-digit margins. So if you're keeping maximum till the end of it, then the project delay, because even if it all it is because of some front issues or anything, it really kills the complete company. And this is not something I'm just trying to say. There are living examples. You can see many companies who have come in and closed down, big and small. It's a very serious thing. So we all as a team need to understand what is it in. And unfortunately, the PEB industry is getting commoditized. It is like buying steel. Earlier, you are buying a building. It's not steel. We need to really look into it that let's not commoditize. We have to look at that we need a building which has to stand 50, 100 years. Maybe there is a difference. You might be paying a little higher. As I always say, my favorite thing, which I heard from one of our customers, cost is important, not the price. You might be paying a little more price initially for a building, maybe a few lakhs. But in 4 or 5 years, if at all there is a quality issue, if there is a leakage issue, or there are some failure issues, the costs are enormous. So we need to really look at, if at all we look into it into a price aspect and overall cost aspect, definitely it makes sense. And today pre-engineered industry is on a situation where it is ready to take off, but as the entry barriers are small, many people are coming in, getting into it, and then failing. And again, some people are quitting, some people are coming up, only because of these three aspects. This is what I would like to just give you an introduction.
Thank you so much for giving us a complete picture of what is happening in PEB right now. This is, I would call it, that during this particular panel discussion, this is the first step from the PEB side. So now I would like to request Dr. Saravanan to take the next step, because his background is not PEB. He is more into conventional buildings, stadiums, and convention centers and whatnot. Dr. Saravanan, please tell us what is happening in your area when it comes to fabrication.
Good afternoon, all of you. I'm seeing all the consultants, clients, and fellow fabricators and other business value-added clients here. I'm thanking Sunil sir as well as Mr. Mohan. He has rightly put up in terms of PEB. Most of the PEB sectors, whatever he put it up, is also applicable into the conventional structural steel. In fact, I am coming from down south, even though our projects are from across India. Fabrication facility where we have is from Trichy, where it is basically 200 plus fabrication facilities available city. But currently, most of them have closed out, and only very few who are currently not depending on certain fabrication areas that they are surviving. And the reason is very well known to everyone. One, into the material part of it. Second, with respect to the need of the hour. And third, with respect to how the engineering is taking place. Anyway, I'll just go just in brief one by one. In conventional steel, it is not like a PEB alone, where we have high-rise buildings, we have low-rise buildings in composite structures, or even airports, malls, convention centers, everything comes into the conventional steel, where the clients or sometimes say the clients where we are supposed to go and then discuss, always talks like we have in India the mentality of whether even for rocket the fuel, what we ask is how much it is giving. In terms of kilometers. The same way, the moment we are from structural steel, they talk per kg how much it is. Straight, whether the structure is what kind of structure or how it is complicated, doesn't matter. So that is where they want to gauge, which is very difficult questions to answer. But this has happened sometimes back. Now, in fact, a lot of improvements have taken place, and the industry is, say, coming up a lot, and a lot of in fact, about 3-4 years back, we were trying to go and then market composite structures, whereas currently every area composite structures started coming in. Even currently with ITs and the data centers, like most of the structures. And the area on with respect to current subject on profitability, when you take it up, which is one of the very challenging topic, because everything, the measurement is with respect to weight per ton. So, end of the, say, when the moment the client comes in picture, they appoint a consultant, and then consultant started putting it up. Previously, the challenge is how, as a fabricator, we fit into the engineering aspects of it. So, what we normally go is, after receipt of the drawings, we go back and see, is it practically possible? Is that particular type of sections available? All these things, we started raising up questions, and then from there it takes up. Currently, we take it up, go to the client, go to the consultant, not even at the starting of the, means in the architectural stage itself or design stage itself, in such a way that we go and then put up our value addition, so that the engineering output itself, when it comes out, it comes properly. So that we don't require to go and then do another phase of, say, time in terms of, in the overall project cycle time, to go and then waste and then do that. So that is one of the improvement that, as a challenge which was there for a few years back, has right now come into that, but still not that to the fullest extent that it is happening, which is an area where that we suggest from the fabricator perspective to the consultant as well as to the client, to see that how that you can take it up, the value addition from the fabrication perspective, or from erection point of it, how that it can be constructed. Because it's not generally a column beam kind of a composite structure. It talks about a lot of other fabricated fabrication is taking place. This is one of the challenge in terms of engineering. Even in engineering, with respect to, we go and then take up some, say there is a unit rate per ton. But end of the day, when you go back, and we thought that it is going to be a cut and drill job, where they go to the extent of designing it in such a way it is to the utility of 90%, where it is not even sometimes possible for us to do the connection design, where we end up doing a reinforcement of members in terms of web or flange, which complicates the fabrication, where we cannot able to fit into the value on which that the job is being taken up. So that is another challenge that we come across. Sometimes, as earlier, as say Mr. Mohan said, it is a price that we can look at rather than the cost of it. So even a few kg of tonnage, when it goes up, it doesn't matter as a overall as a client to pay in comparison with the rate on which that we come up with. It will be very simplified in terms of productivity, in terms of all these things. So that is another challenge that, as a construction in terms of conventional steel, that we face. So like that, it is currently we are coming up one by one. We have solutions as well, but most of it is up to how that the receptive in terms of construction industry, per se, that we look.
So thank you so much for putting it in right perspective, that what is happening currently. You are saying that at most of the places you are not facing this problem. But when we say, as an owner, if I am an owner of any project and a project is conceived, the first thing I do, I run my own numbers. That what kind of profitability I am looking at from this project, right? And once my numbers are ready, I start appointing the consultants. Consultants have their own problems, okay? They start running their numbers. I negotiate with the consultant. I bring his, first of all, his fees down, okay? So at first step itself, his morale is down. That if I am working at 8 rupees or 10 rupees or 15 rupees or whatever it is. And most interesting part is, the owner is not able to visualize that the design consultant or an architect who is going to design your building is going to actually establish approximately 85 to 90% cost of your entire project. And what remains is 5 to 10%, eventually it will go to the project site. So what I want to know from both of you, the kind of education which has to get into it at the owner's level, even before you attending the kickoff design meetings and all those things. How we need to educate the owners that what needs to be done. So Dr. Saravanan, you can start, and then Mr. Mohan, you can also substantiate this particular point, that what kind of education is required when we talk about the owners who don't understand that towards the end of his project where the fabricator is going to come in, where we always say that the money is stake at site. Yes, money is at stake at site. However, my designer, you negotiated hard with him to reduce his fees by 1-2 rupees and expecting value from him, he is not giving you, and towards the end when the fabricator comes on the job, you are expecting some value add from him. It is not going to happen. So I want you to talk about it very openly, that what needs to be done at the project or the principal level or the project sponsor level or the initiator level. Please go ahead, Dr. Saravanan.
Thank you. First point, even there are stages, even as a developer, when you take it up a project, they come up whether the job needs to be done in steel itself or not is first question that they are coming up. So where there are a lot of points that how that it can be taken up in terms of decisions, like whether that is inside the city or whether it is being logistics as an issue, with respect to timeline is an issue, and even nowadays you all know that the per square foot rate on with respect to the area of development. So even going for a say size of means like if you, for example, you take a concrete columns or other elements which is going to occupy a lot in terms of utility, where composite or steel can be mean there are some increased value that it can give based on the reduction, like a lot of things that as value addition that we can discuss when the clients are means calling us, or panel discussions can happen, or even with the combined meetings with the architects or consultants. So these are all, and it's not that the job needs to be awarded to a particular fabricator or a contractor. Generally, with respect to the knowledge base that what we have, they can call at any point of time, and we are there just to go there and then see what kind of value addition that we can give to the project, so that as at the end product, as the end result, whether how much is in terms of timelines, times, because costing is not just only on material. Costing, even if you are finishing a project instead of 1 year in 8 months, in a 2 year instead of 1.5 years, that plays a major role in terms of timeline, because everywhere that cost is as an element, because that itself will come in terms of value added returns and all these things. So we go to the industry, and then, or maybe based on invitations that we can go to the industry and support us in terms, support the industry, construction industry a lot in terms of value addition.
So in short, you are trying to suggest that whenever we are having panel discussions like this, the hall should be full with the owners or the people who are going to start with any new project, and through such type of discussions they will get educated, right? That while taking certain decisions, just saving one or 2 rupees here and there per square feet is not going to work. Your take on this, Mr. Mohan?
I think customers knows everything, because when he's investing crores of rupees, he did all his homework. In fact, maybe a little more homework, I would say, because when the customer comes, I don't think we can educate them, but definitely we can definitely tell them, because we cannot call all the customers onto this forum like this, because they will never come, because they are the people who are investing money, so they have their own thought process. But that is the reason why they recruit people. The issue today is that, I'll just give a classic example. As what Mr. Saravanan rightly said, it has come down to weight, how much weight per ton, or what is the price per ton you are going to pay. Even suppose someone does an innovation, try to use a new steel, let's say 450 MPa we are trying to use, and reduce the total. The technical consultant does that, approves it. But when it comes down to the customer's purchase department, he doesn't get into all this. they will not involve even the consultant. Then they will say that, अरे यार, उन लोगों का per ton इतना ज़्यादा कम है और आपका क्यों ज़्यादा है? अरे यार, this is a different steel, तो क्या हो गया? So when it is not only the steel, when we say 450 MPa, the total consumables change for 450 MPa, which are double the cost of a normal 345 MPa, whether it's a building wire, flux, all the things. So what I mean to say, when it comes to customers, technically, yes, we can discuss. The main thing which support is required for the industry is on the commercial terms. You know, where, you know, you pay your supplier on time, so that, you know, any delay is going to kill your supplier. So if at all you treat them as a partner, it will happen. And most of it, it depends on the strength, again, of the supplier who is negotiating with the customer. And unfortunately, as I told you, the entry barrier is too low. A lot of people, to beat the already established players, offer certain commercial terms which are going to kill themselves. They give a lot of credit. They say only you pay after erection, and the strength is not so much. And your supplier is not going to wait. You have to buy steel unless you pay advance or LC. He'll not even take up manufacturing. That is going to kill. And today, the major thing which you really see, a lot of companies coming and disappearing, is only because of this aspect, that you are not able to see the big picture. We are only able to see that, yes, again, if at all I get this project, I am going to get into the next. Maybe I can take this as a reference and get into the next. And that is what, if you really look at the overall profitability, it may look okay. But if you look at a project-wise profitability, then you are finished. And eventually a project takes 6 months, 8 months. And by that time, you know, you realize you're already deep into that, pit. That is the biggest issue. I think customers, or maybe the only thing is customers, consultants, PMCs, all are only we need to see how best we are, we need to work together. We should treat your contractor, first selection of your contractor is very important. Treat them as your partners. Yes, if partner fails, we all fail together. That's the main concept. Otherwise, I think customers are well informed.
So very valid point. Somebody's cash inflow is somebody else's cash outflow. So if we work as a team together, probably, and if we are able to manage the cash flows throughout the business cycle or throughout the life cycle of that particular project, I don't think that there will be a problem where somebody is going bankrupt and closing his shop and things like that. In order to achieve this particular thing, you have suggested quite a few things that we should work as a team and all those things. But what happens, it remains only as a English, or it only remains as a part of such type of panel discussions. It never goes out, and we don't really sit together. We are always interested, that consultant is interested always in showing to his customer that how did he save couple of rupees or 100 rupees or 50 rupees per square feet on a given project. But when the project comes into the execution phase, at that point in time, probably it works out to be something else, and it doesn't happen like that. So Dr. Saravanan, what is your take on such type of situations?
Yeah, that is where we are currently in discussion. Where what we want to really see is, even in our own industry, even if you take our neighbors as fellow fabricators, when we take it up, currently it is almost like a red ocean rather than a blue ocean, where we fight each other with respect to the availability of the job. Where that should be, first of all, that to be looked at properly, and we should not go and then with eyeing on one area, and then we should not just go and see that what best that we can do to win the job. Where what is happening right now is we go there and see that and then discuss, and as a client or as a customer, that we know what kind of industrial this one, that because as we all know that they are having the pulse of the industry. But on the other hand, each type has its own price. For a high rise, there is a price, there is a low rise, there is a, or even if you take it up on say curved, curvilinears like or tubulars like it is. So what is happening now is when we cannot able to say go and then match, what is happening is sometimes like factories of a bigger investment which comes in picture, where even to survive or to take up the to run the project, to run the factory, sometimes we go and then even discount it and we just take it up because that sometimes even there is no margin, it is okay like. So those are the areas that we need to be very careful and see that we are very caution and then taking it up so that the industry comes back. Why that they cannot? Then we have to make sure that they talk in a right perspective to see that we can evaluate and then we can go back like. So that is our suggestion as a combined groups are a unity of within the same industry that we need to come together to see that how that we can represent the entire particular area.
So I go back to you now. You have done n number of projects in PEB. You can just quote couple of examples where one project was done for the captive consumption of that customer. How did it go? And the second project where it was not for the captive consumption of that customer, but end customer was somebody else, but still you formed a group and then you successfully delivered that project. If you could just quote a couple of examples, people will understand that how that process happened in both the projects. When we talk about the PEB, you must have done a lot of many such type of projects in the last maybe 25, 30 years.
Yes.
In fact, the process
first
would
of
be
all,
the
good
same,
afternoon to everyone.
whether we do a captive
yes, we do
captive
all our
the
structures
customer
only in
is using
steel,
for his
and
own purpose, or
it's been a conscious call by our management to go
customer
all our
whom
developments
we are going
going
to
forward in
deliver,
steel, and
here
we have
the
been
end customer
doing
is
extensively.
different.
In fact, we have done about 7 million square foot,
profitability is
close
not
to about 7
changing
million
because
square
of
foot
that.
in
The
composite.
profitability mainly,
Yes,
I'll
we have
just give an
completed
example.
7 million
Let
square
us take
foot
the
in
present.
composite steel structure.
I'm
And
sure
we
with the
have,
present
another
steel
7,
price
8 million
volatility
square foot
which
under
is happening
construction
today,
and few in pipeline.
many
All our
companies
developments are only in Hyderabad, and
will
we
be in
primarily focus on
very big
composite steel
in red
structures only.
in this
When
financial year.
when
Simple
coming to the
reason,
point, what you mentioned in terms of
because
availability of
the customers
steel,
are not going to give you an increase.
we do plan for availability based
If
on
at all,
our
it depends
planning.
on the way you are
But yes,
discussing.
8 weeks is
Because
something
they
which
say
is an
once you
ideal
have signed
to
a
fit in.
contract,
But
no way you
certain
cannot
times
go
there are
back.
instances
And
which has
it is
gone up to
ethical
12
and a lot of
months.
things come out.
Steel structure
Whereas
success comes when
the steel
the
manufacturers
overall
are
holistic
talking
approach
about
of
they
a
are
steel
much bigger
structure has been
companies.
taken through.
They
Only
are
then
not.
we get
They are not
a
even
success
going
in
to
terms
keep
of
your. They
viability.
are not going to honor your orders.
Predictability.
So what
in
is
terms of quality
the
and
position
time
of these
are the key
manufacturers?
things which we see in steel structure. Which
These
can be done.
manufacturers don't have so much high
Predictability,
margins to absorb that type
we
of
look
cost.
at a
The costs
schedule
have
that
almost gone
we
30,
work about
40%.
6 days, 5
So
days.
they will all
as a
be in
schedule
red
in
or
terms
will
of
be wiped
requirement.
off in the
And
next 1
suddenly
year.
we see there's a material non-availability.
The
That becomes a
situation is
challenge.
that
So,
today we
the
all as a
the
team
predictability of
have
material
decided
has to be very
we have
sure
to go back to
that
the
if it is
customers.
8 weeks,
We
come
have
what
to
may, we
explain
should
this
be able
is
to
not
get
a normal
material.
situation.
That kind of a
In
commitment
fact,
we
the
should be
steel
able to
mills
get.
have
And
said
today
that
market,
this is they've
there
invoked
were
force majeure
instances
clause.
certainly
It was in
were there
Economic
which
Times
has
paper also,
got
you
about
read it.
12 weeks
And they
also.
said this is a force
Today we
majeure
are
issue.
trying to plan
And
for
they defined what is
12
force
weeks.
majeure also.
See, assume
And
if it is
said that,
about
boss, we cannot give it.
5 days
So
cycle,
when your own
it
supplier
is
is not
about
able to
30
meet,
store rate.
you
It's
have to
about
go back to your
5 months
customers
is a
and you have to
duration what
request.
we are trying to
And
look
I
at.
think as a
Within
team,
5 months, if you are saying
we all have
12
to do
weeks,
it,
that's
and
a
we
3
are
months
doing
for
it.
only material
Otherwise,
availability.
it's a question of
Then whatever
survival.
we are rushing to see,
If
we
at all
are getting on the
we are not
timeline.
able
That
to
is where we are
succeed,
seeing
or
a
if at
challenge.
all we are able
But
to succeed
yes,
at least
there's
to
also amount of an
at least,
engineering which is
to the
required
majority,
prior
then
to
you
the start of
survive.
activity.
Otherwise,
So
it is a
we
question
club
of
those things together. 4
survival.
weeks for
So
your
that is one
designing, 4 weeks for production,
aspect.
and then
Second,
by
as a
then we
team,
do the
we
foundation
all
and we
have
do
to
other
definitely
activities
discuss
where we can get the
on the
material and
commercials
start getting
we
on.
need to
So
identify
that is
and then talk to the customers.
one way of an approach.
Why this differentiation only for steel? That's my question. If you go and want to buy a flat or buy a house, do you get
I would say,
you pay an advance? Are you paying
10%
advance
of
again
the
ABG?
time, we can see there's a challenge.
Unless you
but,
get a bank guarantee, you will
mostly,
not get.
It comes into the bracket of 8
You
weeks.
pay advance
as
only
a
with a
listing.
trust. Then execution after that you pay before, and before he hands over the key, you have to pay 100%. And do we get a PBG? Does the builder give you a bank guarantee? for 10 years,
So
1
again,
year, leak proof?
Yeah,
No,
again,
we don't ask.
We primarily
But
use,
when it comes to
again,
steel,
450 grade.
unfortunately, when we
That
wanted
is,
to
based
promote
on,
more steel,
already
these were the
been
clauses put
presented in
forward
terms
saying that
of
we can match.
advantage in terms of
So
consumption.
we were trying to say that, boss,
So,
people may
it
run away, you
becomes,
don't believe that
for
the
us a
steel
mandate
construction
that
would
we should be
stand,
able to
so
get
let us take
450
advance.
availability. So if
We
in
don't
case
believe in
450 is
steel
being
that it
designed and
will
we
last
end up
for
doing
1
350,
year,
that might
give
not
bank
work for
guarantees.
us in
We
terms of the
wanted
way
to
it has been
ensure
put to
that
availability.
10 years
And
it will
also
not
we
leak.
go with
Okay, this is
450
a
for
guarantee.
various other reasons. It is not only
So
about
you
the
give so much of
consumption, but it is
guarantees
also
only
about,
because you want to promote
tower crane
steel,
utility.
or you are
So
in a
when it comes to
fabrication
the
of steel.
planning, it is
Whereas,
not only the consumption.
when it comes
is
to
also
civil,
about
no questions
mix
asked.
of logistic approach.
So,
So
I'm
we
just
should be
trying,
able
and
to lift the
let me be
material
very
within the
honest.
time within the tower
Getting a
crane,
bank guarantee from
craneage
banks
available.
nowadays is not easy.
You end up having
No
about 20,
private bank
25
want to
elements,
give a
per day
bank guarantee.
lifting on a tower crane.
It's only
And,
PSUs you
we
are
take
giving,
about,
because for them,
5-ton,
bank
lifting cranes,
guarantee
for our
and the
projects.
amount of risk what they
I
have,
cannot
they feel
add
that they get
beyond
very low
certain
margins.
numbers.
They don't want to
So
give
for a
bank
project, I
guarantees.
can add up 3 numbers, 4
They
numbers.
say that
we
I
put
will
up
only
4 numbers for one of
give
the
you
projects.
LCs what you want,
But
because they
beyond
make
that,
better money,
again,
because banks
that
look at
itself
their
is
margins.
going to be
In fact, I had only
That's
on
when we
Friday
see,
negotiating with the bank, yeah,
kg
please
per
increase.
running
We
meter
have to beg them.
in terms of the
They say, sorry,
columns what we are looking at.
only PSUs
We
for
go
whatever
with
reasons
CFTs
they
for
are
that
giving.
reason for optimization.
But
And
all
as
private
Sandeep
banks, they say
mentioned,
no.
We can go with head sections, but it has to
And
be
just
competitively
imagine the
coming
cash
into that
flows
range
or
for,
your limits
viability
getting
in terms
blocked
of lifting and
for a
producing
normal
in place.
average
So it all depends
fabricator
on how many lifts what we do.
giving an
And if you're
ABG,
not able to achieve
then
the timeline,
nowadays
yes,
again a
that becomes-
performance bank guarantees, then even contractual guarantees. So much of money is already blocked. Then you start, and at the end of the day, if at all there is any problem in the project, then you are finished. And how many agencies are involved?
Yeah, I would like to give you the
agencies, you know, you
complete
take a
product range
let
of my
us,
company.
be
It's a
very
Surya
honest.
Roshni
If at
Limited.
all I
We have
take a
two
building,
verticals. So we
or
are
let us say
discussing
even
here
if
for
at all
the
we do
steel
a
pipe business
multi-story
vertical.
building in a
Another is
city,
the lighting and
how
the
many
appliances
agencies are
and other
involved?
vertical is there.
All
So
you have to take care.
basically, as
Customer
far
has
as
no role
infrastructural
there.
development and the
Any
projects
local
are
issues
concerned,
you have to handle.
we are in the
Nothing, I am
hollow
not
section.
there. Right?
For
And
up
after
to
doing
300,
all that, what you
300 we are
get?
producing. And up to
Single
12
digit
mm,
margin, and which can be
12.5
wiped off if
mm,
the project
and,
get delayed by 2 months. That's it.
Grade wise it is
Because
450.
if you really
Even we can
calculate
produce 550
the
also.
sensitivity analysis
So this is the
of a-
hollow section
of the
product
pre-engineered
range.
building,
Otherwise,
it is
apart
too
from
low.
the infrastructure
2% here and there you can
we
finish
are,
it.
we
Finish
are
off
in
that
a big
industry.
way producing the
And that's a fact
galvanized
today. That is the
firefighting
reason
pipeline.
I am telling to,
and
I
we
am
are the
trying to,
largest
emphasize
GI pipe exporter
that
from
even
India.
a multinational companies
And
who are coming to India
the
for
mainly is the
vanished.
firefighting. As in India, we
And there are
using
small
the
companies who have
black
come
pipe,
with a lot
MS
of
pipe
dreams,
for the firefighting.
got vanished.
But in abroad, normally
same
they are
is not
designing
true
on the galvanized pipeline for the
You go to
firefighting.
Middle East, the
And
margins
we are
are
in a big way
mind-boggling.
for that export. We are in
And
oil
no
and
risk
gas
of erection.
pipeline also.
The
where
erectors take care.
cross-country pipeline
The,
and
the
then
main
city
manufacturer is not at all
construction
responsible
line
for
are
erection.
also
He only
there.
supplies.
So
And he gets
these
his money
are our product
100%.
range. As far as the
Here, to promote steel, we
infrastructural
always
projects
say
are
big
concerned,
versions
I can
that we should
say
improve steel.
I was
But
hearing
where is
to
it?
my
You
all
know,
the
I'm just
colleagues
trying to be very
that
honest
the
here.
major challenge here
So,
is
this
the
is something where
timely
we
supply
all
of
have
the
as a
material.
team have to take it
Because
forward.
whenever there is a say
That
we are also producing
we need to first treat that,
section
yes,
pipe, hollow
I'm
section
not
pipe
saying
from
that there
350
would be
and
some
450
defaulter,
grades
there
of
would be
the
some
steel.
problems coming
And
up.
as far
And
as
if
you are going
someone says
higher the grade, the higher the
that
delivery
a
period
project,
also.
when
Because
we
they
start,
need to match
will be
the
so smooth that
MOQ.
there will be no issues.
Minimum order
Then I
quantity
think
to
we are
produce
fooling
that particular
ourselves. Any
steel.
project will
And
have
we are
issues.
totally
It is
dependent on
only
the HR
thing
coil
how we
producers
react
who
and how we
produces that
respond
particular
and how
type
fast
of
we do
steel
is what is
and we
important.
produces in turn the
This is
hollow
what I
section.
think.
So he
One
has
thing
talked very
important
heavily on
in the
process
present
part
development
it,
of the
that
hollow
what needs
section
to be
production
changed.
is the
so that this-
latest technology of the
this adds one
DFT,
more
direct
step
forming
towards the
technology.
profitability
So where
of
the
the
in
business, how the
traditional
things
there is a
happen,
roll set
in
system,
Middle East,
and
how
for
the things
every
happen in
size you
Europe,
need a
how the
separate roll
things
set,
happen in North
and you
America,
have to
they're
produce
entirely
then
different. But here when we say that
the
we
roll
want to promote
in
steel, what
a
kind of
round
process
and then
changes which
squeeze
we
it
need to
in a
make, he has
section
thrown light
form.
on that.
Then
But
but
next
in the
question is to both of
TFT technology,
that
you
when
are
we
going directly with the
look at,
angular
from
formation
our
and the
own
direct
house to
formation
outside,
of
we
the
see
tube.
quite a few
And
things
that
which we want
is
to
a very
change
quick
in others.
changing
So when we
technology
come to
where we can
fabrication
produce
industry itself,
every day a new
are there
size
any
in a
points
particular
which you
mill.
think are
Whereas in the
very, very
traditional, we have
significant or
to produce
important which we
a
should
specific size,
change
a specific
so your
order
profitability
quantity,
is
and
not
then only
affected.
take a
I would like
changeover
start with
to
you and
reduce
then
the losses and the
Dr.
time
Saravanan,
losses
please
and the
answer this
material
question,
losses
because
also.
we have talked
So
a lot
presently,
about others.
we are able to
When we talk
supply
about
any
fabrication
size
industry itself or the
up to
fabricator
300,
themselves,
300
what
mm,
you want to
and
see as
in
a
square,
change,
in
which will
rectangular,
lead to
whatever
a
sizes
better
is produced
profit
out of
margin,
that
so that you
300,
don't
300.
face that pressure
And
on the margins
deliveries
moving
may not
forward.
be a
So you
problem
can
at all.
start and then
Number
Dr.
one.
Saravanan,
Number
you can answer
two,
the same question.
the
One, of course, is improving
transportation.
quality.
So transportation
Quality,
is
when you improve
definitely
quality,
when we are
the myth saying that
producing
if you
that type of
improve
hollow
quality,
section in a
it costs
factory
more.
production
It's not so.
environment.
To
Certainly
improve
quality
quality,
is
actually
much
cost comes
better.
down.
Transportation required to be
Second, of
done
course, is
much lesser than
having
the
an
raw material which is to be formed
internal
and which is to be
understanding to
fabricated
see
at the site.
or do a
So
lot of
these are
value
the
engineering,
advantages we
or
have
take
in
a lot
the
of Kaizen projects
section,
internally,
hollow
how
section.
to improve your productivity, which is very important.
Grade
And
is
third aspect
350,
is
450, even
on the
550.
erection times, how we can
Yeah, up to
optimize that, how we can erect faster with simpler mechanisms.
As far
And
as
fourth is that
310,
standardization,
310 you
which
can
is very,
consider,
very
I think
important.
all my
As I
colleagues
told
are
you
here
that
can
as even,
confirm it that 310
Saravanan
is the
was
regular
saying,
size available in India,
can
and we can
definitely
produce it
reduce
very easily.
weight
350 and
having very
355
complex
are also
designs, they're
regularly
very, very,
available. Of course,
thin
they
members,
are taking some
whereas
more
the
time
connections will be
because
very
of the
tough.
lesser requirement. They
And
have to make it
erections
the
will
minimum
take
order
lot of
quantity and
time.
then produce it. But 450 is also
Erection
available.
activity will be slow. So, are we really saving cost? No. So,
310
for the fabricators, they need to
normal
look
delivery
at
time you can
who are
consider
doing at
is
the site,
almost
and
5 to
these
6 weeks.
guys who are at the factory are highly skilled,
Ex-factory.
technical, and they are working within their atmosphere, their very clear controlled atmosphere. They can do better. At the site, they are all semi-skilled, and they have to do it at ease. So they have to design, fabricate, and ship material which can be erected faster. So when you say speed, cost comes down. So that is, and of
See,
course we
all
need
our
to
sections
also
what we are using in the project are
embrace new
customized for the project
technologies
requirement.
which are
And one
which are
advantage
there,
what we see is that
you know,
we do
abroad, and
standardization
even
in terms
today
of
we
our
have
approach
seen
towards
few
the
of the
design, and
new
we
technologies
have the same
which we
thing
were
which is
talking.
considered across
In fact,
all
this is
the
a forum
projects.
where such type
So,
of things are
specific for
really,
Phoenix approach,
presented.
we have actually
So we need
did
to embrace
some,
that
designs,
to reduce
and those
costs.
have been
So these are the
replicated
few
into the
things
projects.
where
So that is a
internal, and
customization
of
which has
course,
been brought in.
as I told
And
you, you have to reduce your cost
Typically,
of capital. That
primary
is,
and secondary
you have
beams
to look at
are considered with
every
either
order
UV
which
or
you are
with the
taking
built-up
from your
sections,
customer,
as a single web
you have to
and,
have a very
fan this thing.
detailed understanding before
But
taking
we
it. Just
consider
taking
twin
an
beams
order
as
for
a primary in
just for the
our
sake. You can win orders.
concept
Order is
by
very
our
easy
structural
to win.
consultant, and which
But
has
is
brought in
it
some
possible
efficiency
to execute
better than the
profitably
previous,
is
and
very,
that's
very
been now
important.
made
If
as
you
a
consider that
standardization
due
within our
diligence is
projects.
done, I'm sure.
So that's an approach,
things will be
and
better.
In fact,
we
he
typically go
has
with 520 as a
given
beam
the
depth,
problem
as against to
statement.
UB, which is
Have you
533.
executed any such project
So
in the recent
it is
past where you
giving a
already
better
implemented
advantage
all
in terms
these things, Dr.
of
Saravanan?
plate thicknesses and also in terms of the kg per meter.
When you take it up,
So
the major portion on fabrication
we are going
comes from
built-up section of 520.
material, raw
So-
material. So how much that you're
In fact,
optimizing
we
on a raw
discussed,
material
yeah.
really matters. Apart from in terms of sizing up the members where we leave it to the consultants, if you take as optimization, one going for sophisticated fabrication related equipments, and say for example, there are a lot of softwares which talks even a cutting plan from engineering from there to the, say before it is the material is getting rolled into the cutting. So you can do an optimization to so precise that there are a lot of softwares that you can use. So the raw material wastage can be completely minimized, which can be one other factor that it can really give, say in terms of raw material usage, which can go into a direct profit. So we have used many projects that completely going into CNC, and then in terms of optimization on cutting plans that we do. Second, we normally not just as a fabricator, also see that how the fabricated material is getting executed at site, which is very important. One, on transportation with respect to the lengths, where the splices can be properly addressed. We never go for a over-dimensional cargo by having a different kind of material lengths. We always precisely do. Sometimes based on the height of the buildings or based on the lengths which is required, we can even do a order of the material itself to cut to lengths. It is not that a standard lengths that we need to go by. So that is where that we can again save on raw material. Apart from that, with respect to site is concerned, how that the site needs to be executed, accordingly that the fabrication needs to take place, where priority comes in picture. Otherwise, what happens, normally if you're having site and shop is a complete different team, having no correlations, what happens, they go simply, what is the immediate thing that as per ton, that or maybe per month, how much ton that they can produce, like they cut and do all the beams where the columns will never be there in terms of the delivery. So, but at site, column is the first thing that it has to come up with. So we need to really see what is the requirement of the site. Accordingly, the fabrication, if it takes place as an overall project, that gives the immediate dispatches can happen. Otherwise, what happens until the site is ready or the material to fabricate which is required for site, other fabricated material you have to put on hold. So there is a lot of storage cost and related conversion comes in picture, because as Mr. Mohan said that front-loaded projects, one, so you need to invest. Second, the invoicing or your certification comes only after it is getting erected. In between this, the stagnation is the real killer. So we have to see how optimum that you really work based on site requirement. So these are all, even you take some of the projects which we have done in Mumbai as convention centers in BKC or high-rise buildings, we always go precisely to see that what is that site required. Accordingly, even release of the drawings will go as per that. So that the factory can take it up and then dispatches. So there is no stagnation. Just in time kind of approach when we take it up, definitely we can achieve such a kind of a conversion of whatever be the margin that we plan that it can be achieved.
So, guys, before we conclude today's session, now we would like to go ahead and take few questions before we conclude. So if anybody is having any questions, they can ask. Girish wants to ask.
So from these discussions, I gathered that there are so many points that have to be kept in mind in fabrication, material procurement,
6.5.
connection designs and all that. And being a consultant, I suddenly
That's
realized that
including RCC.
I may be
Structural steel. Yeah.
I may be a factor which may be delaying or putting a spoke in the whole process. So from this point of view, because I'm a consultant, I don't understand your problems. And if so, then is it a good idea to appoint you people who are experts in fabrication, understanding steel structures, understanding fabrication, understanding the whole business of steel construction? You go ahead and design, take up a design and build project. We are there to, as a consultant, we can always verify the designs from point of view of analysis, earthquake resistance and ductility and all those things. But the basic design, if we entrust to you, will that be a better way to go about this business?
We are presently doing design built only. Actually, even what I mean to say is that we can definitely take up, and presently, because I can say more than 95% of our projects are all design built. We do the design, and the consultants, we just give it so that you go through that, and you can also again verify the total thing and clear it. So because finally the customer is asking for a structural stability, which is being given by us. Normally, if at all we are not designing, we don't give the structural stability. But if at all we are, if at all someone is asking us, we do a design build, design, fabricate, erect.
Yeah, in fact, one of the very nice question by Girish sir. say about 5-10 years back it was a question, but currently every fabricator or steel construction company has their design being attached, because they started from connections and finally into member design. But basically those people will not come into the consultant side of it, but for a gravity design on purely on structural steel perspective, we can definitely do. Some of the projects, it is being already executed in that way. But we can take it up, design it, and then comes back and then give that to the consultant so that they can take up and putting it up for the overall structure to see whether the steel is okay, and the stability of lateral design that the consultant can take it up, because that expertise is different from steel fabrication perspective. So we do take it up. It depends upon how the client and consultants are opening up accordingly that it can be taken up. So.
I have a slightly different opinion on this. Generally, what we design is a steel structures. We design, we evolve, and we get the total tonnage of the steel. And it is equal for all the contractors who are going to execute the project. It is going to be apple-to-apple comparison. Then what happens, Now, if it is given to some XYZ PEB contractors, each one will come with a different BOQ. There the problem comes. That is the reason. Generally, what we adopt is, we design, we get the total concept of it, and we will give you the BOQ. Then each one will get a fair chance to get the, give the pricing basically. And the second thing is volatile rates. Probably this kind of a situation, you people may have to have a rate, let's say per ton, 1,30,000 per ton. So in that you can mention, if the price is escalated by so much percentage, probably you can ask this much percentage of escalation in the raw material, we are going to absorb. If at all, in case, if it is going beyond that, you people have to pay. In case there is a reduction in the price, let's say 5% reduction in the raw material, probably we'll give back to that. That conditions probably, if you can put up in your conditions of the payment itself, rather nobody are going to get a loss. That is my opinion.
That is already there. There is a basic rate which normally we classify in every tender, but it is purely into only the raw material. That's what Mr. Mohan, when he said that. Raw material alone is not the entire fabrication issues, where you have consumables which can go and double the cost. So those areas that we can go and put up a basic rate. That is where currently the challenge is.
Yeah, when we design it as a 450 MPa, let us say, the consultant is going to define the MPa of the steel, and consultant is going to give you what is the BOQ. Then it will be in a platform will be equal for all the PEB contractors. That becomes easy.
Got it. No, your point is well taken.
Yes,
what he was basically not about 450 MPa. Like when steel goes up, welding wire increases, fasteners goes up. I'm just trying to give that. And what you rightly said, we are actually using this price variation formula. But openly, let me tell you one more thing. That is actually creating more problems. For simple reason. First, let us say, I'll just give a typical example. Let us say the earlier price was 60 rupees. Today, suppose it is around 85 rupees. I'm just giving a 25,000 rupees increase. So what the customer would say, fine, you keep supplying, I'll settle it once in a quarter. So what's happening is that you are spending 30% or 40% of the amount, which will come after 3 months. So your cash flows are much more tightened. While I'm telling this, I'm talking only purely on a manufacturing point of view. Well, customer may not really be aware of all these things, neither he's concerned. But when it goes up, so normally they settle once in quarter, and then you have to publish a lot of documents, and a lot of unproductive work goes in, because their purchase department, our sales department keep on negotiating, discussing, and then finally an amount comes through. Yes, But that is a better devil than having nothing.
Apart from that, means to address that, any delta, for example, the same example of 60 versus 85, that 25 will not have any margin factor.
Correct.
Completely, it is going to be very, very serious issue, and you will not get on the day of an investment, even if it is not having a margin factor. It will come after 4 months to 5 months, or even after erection. So it is a high challenge in terms of cash
One
flow.
more thing, you're right. One more thing, you pay on the finished steel. The price variation is given. Suppose the amount of steel you receive, suppose 100 tons you receive, 100 tons you pay. But to produce 100 tons, I need 110 tons. So that 10 tons, 25,000 gone. So actually it goes and hits your margin. So it keeps on impacting. And already your margin is finished because your input costs of others have gone up. Let us say welding wires, nuts, bolts. And because of crude going up, all your paints, 30-35% gone. So we cannot give price variation. Then, right now it's already commoditized, saying that per ton. Now if at all we say, give me all the, then he'll say, give me your BOQ prices, each one. Then I'll talk. Right? And then it gets into so much of complications.
But if we have so many problems, why are we in business at all?
Because we are already there. And
Somebody from there, he wants to ask a question. There are many hands.
Srinivasan sir.
And we'll take all the questions. Yeah.
So good afternoon. This is Deepankar from Jamil Steel. I think which at last he has raised the question why we are in the business. So I think the basic issue, whatever we are discussing, the how to increase the profitability of the steel soft fabrication. Let me name it that way. Be it be PEB, be it be structural steel. So we are making things in shop. I think industry is facing only one challenge, which is whether we ourselves is categorizing as a manufacturing industry or project industry. That's the basic and crack of it. I'll tell you how. If we are in the manufacturing industry, like FMCG, so that means at the factory door, we are exchanging the responsibility. If we are in project industry, we are exchanging the responsibility at the project location. We as an industry, I am from PEB, is in between. One side, our big brothers of manufacturing steel and all, who is actually carrying 90% of the project cost, and I am carrying their responsibility on my head and struggling in between. And that's the reason we are struggling up. And if you see the value addition in the name of value engineering or in the name of the value proposition, the product efficiency, whatever big terms we are talking about, in cost terms, it is only 2 rupees. If the project cost is 100 rupees a kilo, and more interestingly, we change the unit of measurement also from the raw material manufacturer to the end user very frequently, as per the benefit of the first and last person, not the in-between value addition person like us. Therein the problem lies. So my question to you will be, I think the time has come to recognize or to make a brand or make a different industry and make our offering as a whole, as an industry, in a particular type, so that be it be raw material supplier or the customer, end user, both of them are right from their perspective. But if we make our stand very clear and respect that stand universally, then profitability, all this value addition will come one by one. Rather than on the name of value engineering, we cut each and every one in the competition. So I think that's the way forward, which we as a company look forward to in the near future.
Thank you so much. You have put it in a very nice way. And we will capture this when the article will be published on this particular panel discussion. We will ensure that all your thoughts are captured in that. Anybody else? Yeah, please go ahead.
Myself Namdev from customer side, okay, because everyone has many questions for customer side. Customer, we have a customers for us. As we majorly do our 80 or 60% of warehousing industry is PEB only. What that PEB industry will give, see, what a customer or what investor will do, he will invest something. If he wanted to invest 100 rupees, for a return of that on how many days, how many years, how many months. So what now you say steel has increased or PEB industry has increased a lot, but customer from our other end is not giving more money. So what a PEB manufacturer or metal building manufacturers association is doing to get a best cost optimization to satisfy the need of customer also. It is not only us.
I'll reframe his question. What he's trying to say is he comes from the warehousing industry. And he says that customer is not going to pay 2 rupees more when he's going to occupy his warehouse. Is it not?
You are a developer. This is from Ascendas. Now, let us say PEB only supplies steel building, right? Civil is in part of you. You buy torch steel. Are you paying, when you do a civil work, you have to do some construction activity, right? Cement, steel. Are you going to pay price for that? You have to pay, right? You have to pay the increase, whatever is the cost. Suppose torch steel has gone up. So because that is in your purview, you pay it. Because you gave an order to us, there is an increase which has come up, which we are not really the people who are responsible for that. So, yeah, we are not. And second, I am coming to your question. Now he says what you are doing. For us, more than 75% of our total product cost is only steel. 75 to 80, for any, it is, maybe it will depend upon manufacturer to manufacturer. It can be 75 or some people even 80. So when 80% of your cost is already blocked by a big manufacturer, even though we try to negotiate, we try to do, the difference can be, I can say, anyone who is the best negotiator to a normal negotiator cannot be more than 500,000 rupees a ton. So that we definitely get, because that we get to ensure that whatever are other costs which are already incurred, at least to make up that, which we don't make up. Let us say even the freight cost has gone up because of, thing. You don't pay that increase. But, maybe partially it goes into that. And now with most of the places, even erection is done by generators. And with now the 25% cost of diesel has gone up when you are a bulk buyer. So those are all some things which are not being paid, which are already under execution. So these are the costs which we already incur. Now coming to your point, what are you doing to safeguard the interest? I know that your ROI is constant. Your rentals are not going up. While that is a fact, but the bigger fact is that the overall costs have already gone up. Maybe there are only two options. Is this price going to be there forever? Today it's $1 million question. Or we do not know. Either we feel that we should postpone the projects if at all it is viable. Otherwise, from our side, we negotiate with our, as I told you, 80%, we can negotiate. In 20% cost, whatever best we can do, we'll definitely have to reduce. That is the reason when we are negotiating or talking, right now when we are discussing on price increase with many manufacturers, people are not giving 100%. There is always a negotiations which happen. So we are agreeing for some via media, wherein they are all getting absorbed. Okay, when we go for a discussion on a new project, definitely those costs are considered. But right now, whenever we are going for a price negotiation, definitely we are absorbing those costs. Yeah.
May I go ahead?
Agreed. But today already the design, while taking the project, design is already stretched to such an extent. I don't think you will leave any stone unturned if there is any opportunity of even 0.1 kg. So, and after that, it is like, you remove the flesh, then there is only a bone. If you break the bone, you will fall.
And in fact, there is one more thing, the rule which you want to apply to PEB. If you go ahead with RCC structure, you can ask the same question to that RCC guy, that I am not going to get more rental, your reinforcement has gone up, how do I recover the money? So I don't think in these situations like this, it appears to be more relevant. Your point is valid only when it comes to early delivery and you start recovering the rent rather 6 months ahead of time. That will bring a lot of relief not only to him but your business as well.
That's a valid point.
We can keep on talking the whole evening about this topic. It will never get over. I'll take last question and then we'll conclude. Yeah, go ahead.
May I go? I have got one, two, three
we will
things to
take
learn.
your question as well. We'll
Yeah,
take your question as well. Let him finish.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen, ladies. I'm Ankur Bedi from Cold Steel, PEB manufacturers, and we're all, kind of sitting here with the sob stories. Thank you for hearing us all. I think the problem is multifaceted. What is happening today is probably short term. We are hoping that this was going to get over in a few quarters. Nobody is sure of that. But answering your question, sir, that you're not going to get higher return from your tenants or the people going to use the building. So how do you pay us more? But there is another point that you keep forgetting. You're making that, setting up that project for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You're going to keep getting returns from it every year, every quarter, every month. Our execution is once. We cannot come back to you next year and say, sorry, this year you've given us, 5% loss. Next year we'll cover it up with 5% plus. Please give us 5% more next year. That's not going to happen. For you, your ROI may increase from 5 years to say 5.5 years, at best, right? Secondly, in a total project cost, there is land, then there is civil work, land development, so many approval costs, design cost, and then there is a small part which is PEB. PEB of a total project can never be more than 20%. In some cases, it is even less than 20%. I mean, I'm talking including land cost, etc., etc. Unless, in some reason you're not calculating land cost, you're sitting on an old land bank and something like that. But if you take out all the overall cost, so on that 20% or 30%, even if you are paying 5% extra, to keep that industry going, we're not profiteering out of it. It is a question of survival right now. So, I mean, that is where I think it's important that we as partners, with developers, you'll be coming up with buildings every year. So you don't want to kill an industry or squeeze the lemon so much that it starts tasting bitter, right? And now, just coming to the point we discussed earlier about consultants, sir had raised the point. I think what is very important is that the consultants, design consultants, project consultants, agencies like CBRE and the PEB manufacturers collaborate at an earlier stage in the project. A lot of times when the designs or BOQs or details come to us, most of it is, the dish is already cooked. Now, whether right or wrong, there is very little for us to then add beyond that. Because once we start adding value or we start recommending things, new designs, better orientation, I say let's change the orientation, it is taken as if, it is out of our vested interest, right? And by that time, the owner is already sitting on a budget. He says, my budget is drawn. I don't know how they draw the budget.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll take the last one and then we'll conclude.
Thank you. Nice discussion going on here. My name is Rahul. I'm the director of Roof Glaze Infra Private Limited. Few points we have missed here. I would like to just narrate those points. One is the safety policy which customer is going to obey plays a vital role in the total overall cost. Some people follow HIRA policy, some people don't follow, some people that is one thing. Second thing, now we are very fortunate and very lucky that GST has been implemented. Otherwise, to do the business in out of state was very challenging for us. And the octroi and all these things we have faced since last 20 years. Now this is gone. So this is one most important and favorable thing in our for our industry.
The most important thing we are lacking is we want to give the guarantee to the customer of our entire structure, including non-corrosive of the structure, and then painting of that structure plays a vital role. I don't see any person from that industry, and that should be here to tell us that how you can give the guarantee of your paint also. That will, help overall credibility of our own business. So these are all things I think we must take into consideration, and then we then move forward.
Absolutely, absolutely, agreed. So we, as I said, we can keep on talking about this, the entire evening we can discuss this. This is not going to get over. But the key takeaway, which I understand from today's conversation or today's discussion or whatever questions you asked, it's the time has come that if we decide that the only tagline is, if we say that united we stand, probably this business will not only survive, but as what we thought of before starting this session is, it will become profitable as well. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.